HGTV star Erin Napier is the host of Hometown. She's facing massive outrage from fans because she offered her condolences to Charlie Kirk's family. Instead of backing down, Erin pushed back and said anyone who celebrates murder is demonized. Now, many conservatives have been stunned by the enormous number of leftists celebrating Charlie's assassination. In Texas alone, more than 180 complaints have been filed against teachers over inappropriate comments they made in the classroom or on social media platforms. Well, joining me now, Dalton Glasscock, a city councilman in Wichita, Kansas, and Josh Jones, a Republican strategist. Guys, good to have you with us. Dalton, first to you, and I know that you were at a Charlie Kirk rally last night in Wichita. What is the level of vitriol say about our culture right now?
Well, there's a YouGov poll released yesterday that showed that young liberals in this country are more likely to support political violence than any other demographic of people. And so that's why speaking out and speaking boldly and speaking with courage and speaking with faith matter. And yesterday I saw that in Wichita. We had more than 2,000 people attend a memorial vigil held by the Turning Point chapter at Wichita State. Just a few years ago, the Wichita State Turning Point chapter wasn't allowed to exist. It took a Supreme Court ruling from the Student Senate to allow them to be an RSO because the Student Senate denied their permit to be a group on campus. And so this is a dramatic shift that we just saw from a few years ago, to have 2,000 people, many of which young people, come out and support a man that stood by his faith and stood with courage and conviction.
Josh, Governor Greg Abbott in Texas now calling for teachers to be fired and students expelled for those inappropriate comments. Let's take a listen.
We have a problem in our society that we need to come to grips with, and that is a murder of somebody, an assassination of somebody. It is something that's tragic, especially a person who leaves behind a wife and 2 kids who now not have a father. We as a society, we as a state must send a signal that behavior like that, celebrating an assassination, is wrong in a civil society.
Josh, is the governor right here? Do we have a big problem in our society?
Yeah, the governor is absolutely correct. Anybody celebrating political violence should accidentally be shunned from society, especially those in positions of public trust, especially in our education system, and especially in K through 12. Teaching the next generation and instilling values, that's a place to learn your basic skills and not push a political agenda. So I'm glad the governor is going after these people who are celebrating a death of a father of 2, and other governors should follow suit across the country. This isn't something conservatives should back away from, and it's absolutely not only morally right, but politically the correct thing to do here.
Yeah, Dalton, I want you to check out what happened in Rhode Island. There were some students. They're fighting back their teacher. They reported their teacher to the school board. The teacher allegedly called Charlie a piece of garbage in the classroom. Let's take a listen.
Charlie's wife did not deserve to lose her husband. Charlie did not deserve to lose his life because of a different opinion. But this teacher deserves to lose his job.
As civilians and people of our great country, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than to support, or worse yet, rejoice in violence. Someone who advocated for an arrested murderer and assassinator of one of the greatest debaters and free speakers of our time should have no place in a classroom, more so around young children.
As a student of Barrington High, I do not feel comfortable or safe with one of our teachers supporting violence.
Dalton, what do you make of that? It sounds like these kids have said enough is enough.
The First Amendment protects freedom of speech for the government. It doesn't protect you from the consequences of your own action. If you've lost trust from your students, it goes back to what Josh said. So when you're in positions of public trust, you are expected to behave at a higher standard. And I believe deeply in freedom of speech, but I also believe deeply there should be consequences for your action in this country. And defending murder is pure evil. And those people should not be in positions of public trust. And I think they should be called out. And we should call them out boldly and with faith and with genuine conviction and love, and try to pray and hope for their hearts to turn, because I cannot imagine that wickedness of celebrating anybody, even any political enemies, death especially one of a father, a 31-year father. I've asked multiple people that have expressed radical views online is what is the difference between a 31-year-old friend and a 31-year-old conservative who just has a higher position of power? What is the difference from your uncle or your neighbor who believes what Charlie Kirk believes and his influence? The only difference is influence of power, and I think that is unsettling in our community, and we have to repair that before it gets out of hand.
Josh, in South Carolina, Nancy Mace, a congresswoman, sending out a special invitation to her constituents. She says if you know of any professor, teacher, or public employee in South Carolina who is excusing or celebrating this violence, contact our office immediately. I'm kind of glad to see people fighting back here, guys. And Josh, we have seen our university campuses use our tax dollars to radicalize kids, and that's gotta stop.
You're absolutely correct. The education system in this country, particularly when it comes to higher education, has absolutely turned into a tool of the left to indoctrinate the next generation. I mean, you can see that. But Charlie Kirk and his mission and Turning Point USA's mission, they've been turning the tide on that, or being the turning point on that. And you're seeing that play out in the tragic aftermath of Charlie Kirk's passing, is all of these universities and high schools even across the country filing the great Turning Point USA chapters. So I think that's a positive sign for the conservative movement here, that conservatives aren't backing down and letting the mob get their way, but rather rising up and speaking out and doubling down on these principles that we know work and know are true. And Nancy Mace here is absolutely correct. Not only, as we saw in Texas with the governor, but Congress people should be also holding public officials and people in positions of public trust accountable here. And I'm glad that there's kind of a unified front across the right to tackle this head on.
Dalton, you work with a lot of young people there in Wichita. Yeah, go ahead.
Matt, on one thing Josh said, politics is the solution to bloodshed in our country. When you can't win out the ballot box, that's when people are resorting to evil actions, including what happened last week. And so they know that their ideas aren't winning at the ballot box, and so they're trying to find other measures to succeed. It's unacceptable, it's intolerable, it's un-American, and every single person has to be held accountable.
Yeah, well said, gentlemen. Great comments. Thank you both for coming on Newsmax this evening.